Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful people, welcome to the 97 Republic YouTube channel, where I react to news and live events of different sports. So I kindly ask that you hit the like button and the subscribe button, as that will really help this channel grow. And to ensure you don't skip a beat, click the notification bell as well. That way you can guarantee that you don't miss any of the action. Alright, so let's go. Reacting to UFC Fight Night, Cannonier versus Rodrigues, with regards to my predictions, analysis. So let's get into it. So we started off in the prelims. I don't think the card was bad at all. I enjoyed the prelims. I enjoyed the main card as well. Thought there were some good performances. In the prelims, saw Walter Walker get his heavyweight ranking by a submission, the second heel hook submission in the heavyweight ranking. I thought that was impressive. Hearing Walter speak like a Dagestani, but he's actually Brazilian, the brother of Johnny Walker, I thought that was interesting. I enjoyed that as well. Then probably the fight of the night with Vince Morales taking on Elijah Smith. Thought that was a really good fight, really good back and forth. Really enjoyed that. The Angela Hill fight, somewhat questionable with regards to the victor of that fight. Probably thought that it should go the other way. I don't think it was a robbery, but basically just my opinion. The Estevam and Aguilar fight, enjoyed that. Seeing that Aguilar came back in the third round, had to get a finish, with Estevam being out on his feet, basically build up to this, this climax where, would Aguilar be able to get the knockout, get the finish, and then Estevam basically just endured and went on with the victory. And then with regards to Conor Matthews and Jose Delgado, actually the first fight that I predicted with regards to my fight night predictions, and I thought Jose Delgado would actually go on and win the fight by unanimous decision, due to the fact that I thought he was more explosive, a better striker. And with regards to Conor Matthews, what was odd watching his Contender Series fights, watching his UFC debut, 5 of his 7 victories has come by submission. But saw him in the Contender Series, saw him in his UFC debut. He doesn't really initiate, wrestling exchanges for him to get his opponent on the mat and go and submit them. So I thought that was odd. But then seeing him fighting Jose Delgado and trying to get him on the ground made sense. It made a lot of sense. But then seeing how Jose Delgado defended the takedowns and ended up knocking Conor Matthews out, a great performance. I think Jose Delgado might be a contender in the near future inside of that division, seeing that his coach is Benson Henderson, a UFC Hall of Famer. A lot of potential, pertaining to Jose Delgado. And then we moved on to the main card. So at the time, 1-for-1. Predicted Delgado to win. Didn't think it would be by a knockout, but I did think he would win, just basically due to his striking being on a much higher level than Conor Matthews. But then moving on to the main card, Rodolfo Viera taking on Petroski. Now I thought usually what tends to happen is if you have two really good grapplers that kind of even one another out with regards to their skill set, you end up getting a striking contest. And I thought that if that was the case, Petroski would probably go on to win. However, in saying that, didn't pick Petroski to win. I thought Rodolfo Viera would win. I thought that maybe at the end of either round number 2 or at the latter end of the third round, I thought that he might be able to take Petroski down and maybe finish him. So picked Rodolfo Viera to win that fight. Now, might be some bias regarding my opinion, but I genuinely thought Viera won that fight. Now, I'm not saying it's a robbery. I think it was a close fight. But if you look at damage, if you look at who had the better exchanges on the feet, if you look at Rodolfo Viera actually getting a few takedowns, even though Petroski managed to stand up, managed to defend a lot of them. You don't really score points for defending takedowns. You basically just avoid your opponent in scoring points if that is the case. So yeah, I thought Viera won the fight. I wasn't shocked when they gave it to Petroski. As I said, as I previously mentioned, close fight. But I thought Viera won that fight. But he ended up not. So one right and one wrong. And then moving into the Ismail Bonfim and Nazim Sadykhov fight. Now, I predicted Ismail to win that fight. Seeing that I thought he was the better striker, and I thought he was way more explosive. Thought that he would be able to catch Nazim Sadykhov at one point in the fight, seeing that Nazim's head movement isn't the best. He does get caught a lot, and I didn't think it would take much for Ismail Bonfim to actually connect and maybe put Nazim out. But then basically, if you didn't watch the fight, Nazim landed a question mark kick, and as Ismail was ducking, basically caught him on, on his eye, and the fight basically stopped because the end of the round was then called, and then Ismail Bonfim said that he couldn't see through his eye, so it was a doctor stoppage. In that fight, Nazim Sadykhov went on to win that fight, so it felt unlucky. I felt like salt was being rubbed into my wounds, especially after the Viera Petroski fight. Now with regards to Nazim Sadykhov fight and the Ismail Bonfim fight, I was somewhat negative. But then the usual bounce back. So then Edmund Shahbazyan took on Dylan Budka, and I predicted Shahbazyan to win. I thought that he was able to knock Dylan Budka out. However, I didn't see that being the case. I thought it would be a three-round fight, and basically I saw Edmund Shahbazyan taking down Dylan Budka, winning some points on the ground, and basically just controlling Dylan Budka the same way Petroski did when Petroski actually fought Dylan Budka. But then Edmund Shahbazyan, being a really good striker, having really good timing, very good counter punching, knocked Dylan Budka out, and in incredible fashion. So then I went 2-2, right? I had 2 correctly picked, 2 wrong, and then moving on to the co-main event with regards to Calvin Kattar and Yusuf Zalal. And when I saw the matchup, and when I looked at the fights, there is a sense of accomplishment, a really high sense of accomplishment when you manage to predict a fight, and it happens basically to the decimal of what your prediction was regarding that fight. It feels satisfying, to say the least. So I predicted that Yusuf Zalal would win the fight, due to the fact that Calvin Kattar is a slow starter. It doesn't really benefit him having 3-round fights, due to the fact that he basically, almost every single fight, he sacrifices the first round. Due to the fact that he basically, in that round, basically gets accustomed to his opponent's timing, his opponent's head movement, basically how they're throwing, what they're throwing. So, almost like Viera, he sacrifices the first round. And I thought that would be the case. However, I thought that Yusuf Zalal would win the second round as well. And then we saw in the second round that Yusuf Zalal's movement, his footwork, his head movement, timing, was very difficult for Calvin Kattar to actually become accustomed to and actually, realize how it plays out. And Yusuf Zalal went on to win the second round. And I predicted that Yusuf Zalal would go on to win round number 1 and 2, and Calvin Kattar would probably win round number 3. And then round number 3, we saw Calvin Kattar really pushing for a finish, due to the fact that he knows he needs one to be able to win this fight. And we saw Yusuf Zalal basically just avoiding Calvin Kattar as if he had an illness that was contagious, and basically ended up happening exactly as I predicted, where Calvin Kattar won the third round. Yusuf Zalal went on to win round number 1 and 2, and went on to win by unanimous decision. I didn't think Yusuf Zalal would be able to finish Calvin Kattar. However, I did predict that Yusuf Zalal would actually use more wrestling in that fight with Calvin Kattar, which wasn't the case. It was just better on the feet regarding his timing and regarding his entries. Whenever he closed the distance, saw that he really frustrated Calvin Kattar. Did a great job with regards to the leg kicks. So overall, felt extremely satisfied with how that fight played out. Then moving on to the main event. Not only did the main event meet expectations, it exceeded expectations. It was everything that you thought it would be, and then some. Where we saw Cannonier taking on Gregory Rodrigues. Now, I predicted Gregory Rodrigues to win the fight. And reason for it being is, even though I thought that he probably won't knock out Jared Cannonier. I didn't think that it was far-fetched to actually see Gregory Rodrigues knock out Jared Cannonier. And I initially thought, and my analysis was, if Jared Cannonier allows Gregory Rodrigues to fight on the front foot and basically initiate your striking exchanges, he would lose the fight. Due to the fact that Gregory Rodrigues is so powerful, has so much power in that punches, and possesses a lot of power in those punches, that whenever he is on the front foot striking, due to the fact that he has that amount of power, his opponent usually tends to try and avoid getting struck by one of those bricks, instead of really actually counter punching, due to the fact that you can't really take one of those punches flush. You can't sacrifice maybe a punch or two to be able to land your own, because you won't be able to land your own punches if you get hit by one of those fists, right? So that was my prediction, is I thought that Gregory would fight on the front foot, and I thought that it wouldn't be far-fetched to see Gregory knock out Jared Cannonier. And in the first round, it almost happened twice, where he knocked down Cannonier twice and could have probably ended the fight, probably should have ended the fight. But as soon as he did, I had this feeling that Cannonier would win. Because due to the fact that Gregory Rodrigues, a lot like Hamza, he actually has a certain pace that he would like to fight at. The only problem is it is not sustainable for 5 rounds. So due to the way he fights, he basically bargains on being able to finish his opponent within 3 rounds. Because if he is unable to do that, then he would have trouble in the championship and in the latter rounds. Due to the fact that his fighting style is very predicated on power. In terms of striking, rather than being effective. And the only difference between him and Hamzat is due to the fact that Hamzat is so dominant that we've only seen a few people go through and go past the first round. But with Gregory, we've seen a few guys get past the first round. And as soon as Gregory didn't finish Cannonier, I felt like his cardio will be his demise, and basically his cardio would be the reason why he loses this fight, due to the fact that this pace is not sustainable. He's somewhat exerted himself in the first round, and then Cannonier would probably bounce back. And I thought going into the fight, my prediction, my analysis was that Gregory would win. But I said that if Cannonier wants to win this fight, he has to fight on the front foot. He has to initiate striking exchanges, and basically has to force his will on Gregory Rodrigues, where Gregory has to fight on the back foot. Because Gregory Rodrigues isn't really a good counter striker. And I'm not saying he has a glass jaw, but he is susceptible to getting knocked out. He doesn't have the strongest jaw, and his jaw is very upright when he fights. So he is there to get caught. And I said that if Cannonier wants to win this fight, he has to fight on the front foot, has to have Gregory fight on the back foot, because he's not as effective on the back foot, can't land punches as hard as he does on the back foot, and basically he is extremely susceptible to getting caught. So Jared will have success moving forward with regards to the fight and the striking. So in the first round, we saw that not happening. We saw Gregory fight on the front foot for the majority of the round, and basically due to that fact almost won the fight, probably should have won the fight. But then in the second round, Jared bounced back and started fighting on the front foot, started initiating striking exchanges, started getting a better understanding of Gregory's timing with regards to his striking, and basically won the second round. Then the third round, it felt like Gregory bounced back, where he started moving on the front foot again, started initiating, and probably would have won the round if it not been for that last minute where he got caught and Jared was this close to finishing the fight. So when I saw that, didn't think that this fight would go on much further after the third round, and it didn't. Seeing that in the fourth round, he basically got stopped within the first minute. And congratulations to Jared Cannonier. I didn't think he would be able to survive the way he did. Now, even though he's extremely durable, even though his face has been accustomed to taking some heavy blows, didn't think he would be able to survive Gregory Rodrigues' punches and survive it if he gets knocked down. And not only did he do it once, he did it twice. So, massive props to Jared Cannonier. And did exactly what he needed to do to win that fight. So, basically, at the end of UFC Fight Night, Cannonier versus Rodrigues ended up being 3-3. 1-3, or basically predicted 3 fights correctly and predicted 3 fights wrong. So, all in all, 50-50. But with regards to the whole fight, the entire UFC Fight Night card, I enjoyed it. I thought the prelims was really good. Also mentioned, or forgot to mention rather, Gabriel Bonfim submitting Chaos Williams, where it looked devastating. Chaos Williams looked like a fish out of water after Bonfim climbed off of him. Looked like he was grasping for air. A tough watch, but I enjoyed it. So, overall, I thought it was a good card. Enjoyed the prelims, enjoyed the main card. I thought there was some questionable results regarding unanimous decisions and split decisions, but UFC, it happens. It happens. So, not disappointed at all. Really enjoyed the main event. The cherry on top was the main event, and basically delivered in every way we thought possible. But let me know in the comment section, did you enjoy the UFC fight card, Cannonier versus Rodrigues? Which was your favorite fight, and which result shocked you the most heading into, or rather, going out of UFC Fight Night, Cannonier versus Rodrigues?